Alright, here we go again. Erik Ten Hag is officially out and Ruben Amorim is set to step into the Old Trafford hot seat. Once again, we're looking for the mythical new manager bounce. You know, that magical period where suddenly the team's unstoppable, players are sprinting like it's the Champions League final, and we all get that sliver of hope that maybe, just maybe, things are about to change. But will Amorim actually turn things around, or is this just another spin on the managerial merry-go-round? Ruben Amorim is due to be confirmed as the next manager of Manchester United, following the protracted foreplay that led to the sudden departure of Erik Ten Hag on Monday. His sacking drew to a close the endless speculation of his future that surrounded every game the club has played since the FA Cup final. Speculation that wasn't helped by the ham-fisted approach to managerial recruitment that Ineos adopted at the end of last season and during the summer. A run of poor performances at any point of the season would bring about intense scrutiny for any manager at United, but starting the season with such poor performances and underwhelming results really did seal his fate from the outset. And for many, when the axe fell, there was an overwhelming sense of relief. Not because a guy out of his depth had lost his job, but because a line had been drawn, the media pressure had been removed, and we could start to move forward. Whatever you might think of Ten Hag's managerial ability, I found the glee some people have displayed about his sacking quite disgusting, and I can guarantee that the same people giddy with happiness currently will be the first to turn on a new manager, and probably the one after that too. Currently, we find ourselves sitting in 14th in the Premier League on 11 points after 9 games, only 7 points off the top 4, but unfortunately only 7 points off the bottom 3. What we're in need of is the fabled new manager bounce. If we go by statistics and data, the new manager bounce phenomenon is actually a scientific fact. Of the 26 managerial changes that have taken place recently, 20 of them have averaged more points per match in their first 5 games than their predecessor. This is something that United are familiar with, but generally from being on the receiving end of rather than benefiting from. The amount of times that a club has changed manager in the days running up to the games against us is ridiculous and always seems to result in defeat. It doesn't matter where the opposition may be in the league, when we play them, they always take the field and play like 2011 Barcelona for the next 90 minutes. Yes, it could be my biases coming into the equation. Some clubs change manager more times than they change kits, and the reality isn't as bad as my aging brain might tell me. But as Fergie once said, for some clubs, beating United is more important than anything else. Until recently, we didn't change managers all that often, but since Fergie retired, I was struggling to remember us getting much of a new manager bounce, except for one, so I thought I'd look into it into a bit more detail. The stats apparently don't lie in this area, so let's check it out as it relates to United. In the 11 years since Fergie left, we've had 6 managers who have managed United for 5 games or more, which apparently is the cut-off for the new manager bounce. Moyes, LVG, Jose, Ole, Ralf Rangnick and Erik Ten Hag. First we turn to David Moyes, who wasn't wanted by many fans from the outset, but I'll admit a convincing victory over Swansea in his first game made me wobble in my conviction that he wasn't good enough, but he then followed that up with a draw, a loss, a win and a loss. No bounce there then. With him out of the way, we turn to LVG, a proven world-class manager on his day and a guy who had just taken Holland to the World Cup semi-final. A guaranteed bounce, surely? Well, no, not in the slightest. A loss against Swansea was followed by 2 draws, a win and the abject capitulation at Leicester. Following his unceremonious sacking in the dressing room at Wembley, we finally got round to employing the guy we should have employed 3 years before, in Jose. He bought Pogba and Zlatan, he looked the business, and we started with 3 wins. The 2 defeats that followed took the shine off things a little. Next came Ole, the sunshine to Jose's doom and gloom. Whether he was the right guy or not was something people debated from the minute he took the job, but what couldn't be questioned was his ability to get the team playing and scoring. 5 games, 5 wins, new manager well and truly bouncing. After the emotional departure of Solskjaer, the club was on its arse. We had been forced to accept that for 1, Ole was not the man, and 2, a lot of our squad were a bunch of shithouses, and into this shit show stumbled Ralf Rangnick. Now in my mind, he was an unmitigated disaster, and he may well have been, but 3 wins, 1 draw and 1 defeat actually wasn't too bad. Finally comes Erik, who started with 2 awful defeats, followed by 3 wins on the bounce. It might seem hard to believe, but 4 of the 6 managers we've had have win ratios at 60% or above, with 1 at 100, 3 at 60%, with Moyes at 40 and LVG at 20. New manager bounce is a fact, even for us, and although we've been burnt far too many times by getting our hopes up that the new manager can change things around, there's a good reason to think that Ruben Amorim can get off to a good start at least.